Hi, good morning. This is Reflections, and I'm Nancy Joy. Listen to this for a minute. People don't always build walls to keep other people out. In fact, much more often, they actually build walls to see who cares enough to break them down and connect hearts with them. Those of you who follow my YouTubes know that a few months ago I went through a very difficult time with somebody I cared for very much. And I learned a lot. I grew. I became clear. And but when I heard this, I thought, well, but what I haven't done, because my friend seemed to put up some pretty tough walls there, and what I haven't done is reach through them, broke through them, to connect hearts. And what I realized, just right before I left for Florida, one of my horses spooked and knocked me into the mud as I was trying to turn him out. And instead of rectifying the situation and working it through and calming him down and making it right, I was so shocked. I actually laid there in the mud in the horseshit, crying. And then what did I do? I got up and I slunk away. Like I got knocked in the shit, and I felt almost brought shame or whatever that I just slunk away. And interestingly enough, one friend had said to me, well, you let him win. And actually, I realized that on the flip side, she's right, on one side. But the other side of that, it wasn't about letting him win. It was about stepping up and backing myself up and saying, this is not acceptable. You knocked me down. Let's work on this. And so as I then ran into this great quote I just shared with you while I was down in Tallahassee, I realized that it isn't just people who build walls to keep you out. It takes two. I also, in this situation, built walls after that happened to make it go away, I'd say, as I look back on it. To not have to feel vulnerable, which is exactly why I'm sure my friend put up the walls to begin with. And so I got to thinking that oftentimes we fool ourselves and delude ourselves. It's one thing to put up boundaries and break relationships apart that are destructive and no longer serving you. But when both parties can agree and move on, it can be a beautiful thing. When there's anger and hurt, one side or the other, there's probably anger and hurt on the other side also. And so it still resonates within your field. You're not emotionally clear. So I realized I had an opportunity to take this one step further, and I have reached out. It's not, we're in the process of connecting, talked briefly, we'll talk more, but it felt to me like an opening. It doesn't mean the friendship's going to be back the way it was. I don't know what it means, but what I do know is that it's connecting hearts and sharing our journey and moving on from there with clarity and with compassion. And so I invite you this Monday morning to step back and perhaps think of a relationship or two that either you've built walls up and didn't push someone away, or they have. And perhaps there's an opportunity to break through the wall, your own and theirs, and touch hearts to move on in a healthy, clear way, or continue the friendship. There's options and there's shades of gray. But what I realize really isn't okay and isn't walking my talk is slinking away in hurt and shame. Usually not anger. If I do need to break free from a relationship, I'm usually pretty clear and loving about why I need to do that for me. It's not about the other person. But when it happens in reverse, it fooled me. It fooled me starting to think about their walls and not realizing I had my own. So take this in this Monday morning and see where you go with it. I'd like to remind you all about the Glastonbury trip coming up in September. If there's any interest, check it out below. Those of you on my email, click on it. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye.